Let's get you updated on our grain prices right now. And looking at the corn market first in Chicago, we'll see if it's moving one way or the other ahead of the big reports coming up here in under 2 hours now. We have the March corn now turning higher, but only by a half cent. We're at 3.76 1/4. If you look at the soybean trade, which started out firmer on news that there may be some Chinese trade tariff delays beyond the 15th. We are now 3 1/4 higher at 9.15 on that March contract. Meanwhile, in the wheat market in Chicago, we now have the March wheat trading a penny and a half lower. We are now at 5.21 1/4. I want to go to the phone and welcome Ben Hushon. He is with the mill in Whitehall, Maryland. He's a regular contributor here. He gets us updated on Mid-Atlantic farming conditions and what's going on there. Well, I guess my question this week, Ben, would be how's the weather holding up and what are the farmers up to this particular week?
Good morning, Marlin. The weather since we talked last Tuesday has been really good for field work. Limes being spread, soil testing is being done, and certainly still some harvesting. Little bit of late cover crop being put in. Then Sunday night, middle of the night, the rain started to move in, and we may end up rain all day today. We may end up with a little bit of snow tomorrow morning. So farmers have moved back indoors this week. In fact, group of growers were involved in a sustained Terra meeting focused on soil health Monday. Today, Lancaster County and No-Till Alliance meeting up in a barn, and they're out right now, and it is full of folks that are trying to learn what they can do to improve their farms.
How have cover crop and their usage changed here in the past few years from what they were maybe 10 years ago?
You know, it's really interesting. Now, there's two stories. Of course, Maryland began in the mid-'90s, a real serious cover crop program paying farmers to plant cover crop. And so those acres have continued to climb a little. Percentages are plus 50%, so 50-60% of the ground gets cover crop. Pennsylvania does not have those subsidies. They do, in many cases, have some more hills, but there's a different group up there, a lot more animals, so they're used to have a chance to get the corn off earlier in many cases for silage, etc. But there is definitely a growing, you can kind of hear the rumble coming of folks that are talking about soil health and cover crop. And I just encourage folks to, as I said last week, get out and learn. And, you know, if you've got part of your ground that you've been disking the stalks down, leave a couple of those fields. Don't change everything you're doing. Or if you're a person that doesn't disc, well, then try some cover crops. And,
Good point.
Just don't dive in.
Well, I appreciate the advice on that, and thanks again for the update, as we always talk with you this time of the week and find out what's going on in that area. Very interesting stuff. Ben Hushon of the mill in Whitehall, Maryland. Welcome back. I'll get you updated on our livestock trade here on the other side of this break. In case you missed it, let's get you updated on our wholesale trade from yesterday on the beef and the pork. On the beef side, we had a decline yesterday afternoon, according to USDA. The choice cuts yesterday dropped by 92 cents, and the value is $223.64 per hundredweight. And the select cuts on the beef were down 81 cents yesterday afternoon at $206.49. We'll get new numbers in about an hour and a half, and they will come out at the same time as the supply and demand report. Now, let's take a look at the pork cutout values yesterday. Generally, across the board, it was a down day. We had the carcass values down a dime at $81.98 per hundred. We had the loin value down 41 cents at $71.64. Hams gained 20 cents, one of the few outliers to the upside. And the belly market dropped $1.39 yesterday, priced at $99.47. All right, let's get you updated on futures. What's going on here? Well, on the futures trade, we have the live cattle market in Chicago about as flat as can be on the nearby contracts. We have December and February unchanged now. That puts February at 124.75, right where it ended yesterday. April down 13 cents on the day at 125.28. Now, moving on to our, let's go to the feeder cattle market here, if we could. And on the feeders, we have January now 47 higher. We're at 142 even. And that is now within half a dollar of its high of the day. It has backed away from that a little bit. March now up 53 cents. We're at 142.80. And the lean hog market this morning did respond to the news that China trade tariffs set to go into effect on December 15th may not be implemented after all, maybe. And so there is some optimism there. They are bouncing today. February lean hogs now up $1.22. We're at $67.92 in the April contract now, gaining $1.08. We're at $74.05. And Janet, this of course is after the markets were down there trolling within a couple of bucks of contract lows. So could be technically important today.
All right. As always, thanks for keeping us up to date, Marlin.